What happened there?
What the hell are you
Stream
doing?
is live.
Welcome to the Whitetail Advantage Podcast with your host, Brett Bovin. Thank you for tuning in and enjoy the show.
There's no.
What is going on, everybody? I am
We're
not
going
Brett
at it.
Bovin.
You're not Brett Bovin. You're.
I wanted to make sure everyone knew that.
Yeah, who the
We
fuck
have-
are you?
We have decided to do away with the ultra long, humdrummy.
It's not
Super-
ultra long. Don't make it seem like it's this.
Hold on. Wait.
Yeah.
Long
Hey,
intro.
hey, you guys know,
Quarter.
hear that? Brett
Here's your
is saying
quarter.
exactly what all of his
Yeah.
girlfriends in the past were saying. It's
Yeah.
not that long. Don't make it all drawn out. Come on.
Yeah. We're taking over to some bitch.
Yeah.
That's right. Welcome to the show, motherfuckers. Our
Yeah.
guest, John Stallone. What's going
Suck
on,
it.
man?
What's up?
So tonight we have a special guest. He's related to Rock. Hey,
Frank.
yo.
I am.
And Frank, the singer. Frank was a great singer.
That's my dad.
Nice. Is it really?
Really?
My dad's name is really Frank, but it's
Oh, it's the
Yeah.
difference.
I'm like, holy shit, that would be
I would have fucking lied.
No, but we're honored to have our guest John Stallone on tonight, who's
Yes, we're honored
Obviously,
to have somebody on tonight.
killer of the woods who likes to do the same stuff we do. So
Yes. That's
I
for
would
sure.
like to take a second and actually, you know, I just realized
No,
this is the first show that we've had everyone that's the host of their show on in a minute.
Yeah, it has.
oh yeah,
Well, we
Dave-
discussed earlier that Dave's always off because he's, attempted murder and all that stuff, trying to push people
hey
down.
man,
Then I
no
was
harm,
gone
no
on-
foul. Can't prove
I was-
shit.
Yeah,
I
I was
wasn't
out
paying
on
attention.
some hunting trips, and then Squatch is always on here. Squatch is all reliable.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Squatch said on his last show, he doesn't have a life.
I have no life.
See, John's hunting
Podcast.
trip though was looking for dudes out in the woods. That's his hunting trip.
No, that was the one before that. No,
Oh, that was the one before that.
yeah, the one before that. This last one I did was that turkey hunt.
Yeah, there are so many of those, he can't keep up.
Yeah.
You're right about that. John, can you give a little background about
Yeah, I
yourself?
mean, really, guys, we got a guest. We don't
I
care
mean,
about
yeah,
us.
Do you guys
Let's
be
hear from
fucking
the guest.
professional, please?
We are.
Smarten up. Smarten up. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's lock it in now.
So, John.
Come on.
Yes.
Which John?
Yeah, exactly, right? This
Yeah.
is the first time we've had
We're
two
gonna-
Johns.
we're gonna call you John.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Because I
Well,
heard. them
welcome
call
to
you
the show,
John.
John.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, guys. Really do.
All right. So why don't you give the viewers here and listeners a little background story about yourself?
Been hunting since I'm 5 years old. My first trip out with a gun was with my dad. And at 5 years old, we laid a 35 Marlin on a fence post. Well, technically it was on the barbed wire of the fence post because I wasn't that tall. But at a deer, and I shot a deer with him holding me around like this, and I wouldn't recommend that to anybody. Actually, that almost scarred me for life. But yeah, 35 kicks a little too much for a 5-year-old.
Dude,
So
I-
you man the hell up.
I did that
was
with my
my,
daughter at 4 with a 870 Wingmaster.
Oh no shit!
She was 4 and she lined it up, and I took the recoil to the hip. But man, she shot and was out the door to grab that deer in like record time.
Nice. That's
I
awesome.
got to tell you, John, 35 Marlin's one of my favorite guns. I've killed a lot of deer with that caliber.
That was the East Coast deer gun, man. It was like
Yep.
that was the thing. It was either that or a 30-30, you know. And
Yep.
everybody, or I guess the 30-06 was, you know,
Yeah.
the golden goose. But Yeah, I still have that gun. It's
Me
actually
too.
probably that safe behind me right there.
I love it, man. Love the 35.
Yeah, it's still got the 3x9 red line scope on it, I think. Whatever, something like that. It's,
The Redfield scope.
Redfield,
No
that's it.
Redfield.
Redfield. Yeah. So so that was my introduction. My uncles, my dad, everybody, they all hunted. And I'm actually first generation here in the United States. So they were all immigrants that came over, and they hunted back in Italy. And my grandfather was a big wing shooter back in Italy, and they kind of brought that here. And one thing led to another, and then I picked up bow hunting somewhere around the age of 13, and then I left that for a little bit. I moved out to Arizona, and then I started bow hunting again probably 2 years after I was here. So like 17 or 18 years old, I picked it back up, and 2001, I was winning tournaments and killing things. So I got on with I was a pro staff for Matthews, and I was in some way, shape, or form from 2001 till, I guess technically even still today, I'm been paid some way, shape, or form in hunting. So technically, I'm a professional hunter because I get paid to do it. I've been a guide since early 2000s here in Arizona. I guide for mule deer, coos deer, sheep, and I guide for muleys back in South Dakota. We do like 15 days over there. I have a bow fishing charter out here also.
Wow.
But for the purpose of this podcast, I guess my biggest hat that I'm wearing right now is I'm the vice president and one of the co-founders. Charles Whitwam and I co-founded Howl For Wildlife, which is a platform that provides the tools, information, and the ability to connect the average hunter with the decision makers on policy that would affect their ability to hunt, fish, and recreate in the outdoors.
I first I have a question before we dive deep in that. Have you hunted back in Italy? You said that's where you
I have.
from. What's it like hunting here in the States to Italy?
Oh, it's all pay to play out there. I got to hunt for one day with a friend who had like what they call them agriturismos. They're like it's kind of like a bed and breakfast sort of, but on like a farm. Everything for that you're going to eat, everything that you're going to do has something to do with the farmland. And I got to go hunt pigs, feral hogs. They call them cinghiale. They're like a Eurasian boar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, real big tusks, big, hairy. That's what they make prosciutto out of, and awesome Italian salami type meals out of.
The good meat.
Yeah,
one of my favorites.
So I'm on the website for Howl For Wildlife, and I just want to read off this on the main page here. It says, "Welcome to Howl For Wildlife. North America's wildlife and fisheries are constantly under threat. These threats are often based on misguided emotions,
anthropomorphosis.
There we go. I'm not
anthropomorphized. So that's that word that you're trying to pronounce. I always stumble on it myself, but it's like the teddy bear, okay, or when you see something on Disney where lions talk and they have personalities and you're adding human characteristics to an animal. That's
gotcha. Misunderstandings and lack of scientific evidence.
Mm-hmm.
We aim to protect all wildlife from what could be their destruction if management practices are removed. However, we cannot achieve our goals without the pack coming together as one to Howl For Wildlife. Howl For Wildlife works for the conservation and management of fisheries and wildlife through science-based data with action and engagement. Our actions are powerful, efficient tools for the public to utilize. Join the pack, take action, make an impact. Howl For Wildlife." So how did this come about? When did you guys create it? Like, kind of just start off from the grassroots.
Yeah, I'll give you the abridged origin story. Charles and I, we're hunting buddies. Like where he's probably my best friend in the hunting community. I'd have to think really hard if there is anybody else. And we hunt a lot together. And I guess I don't remember exactly what it was, but one morning he calls me up and he's like, "Hey, they're trying to they got a bill here in California," because he lives in Cali. I live in Arizona. They're trying to get rid of bear hunting. They're trying to ban bear hunting here. And this Senator Wiener of all names, he was sponsoring the bill. And he's like, "What can we do? What can we do to let's beat this? How are we going to do this? What are we going to do? I don't want to lose bear hunting here." He loves to bear hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And, it actually kind of started before that with him and we had different ideas. We were doing different things, but this was like the catalyst that kind of launched into what became Howl For Wildlife. So I'm like, let's use, change.org. And I know a bunch of people. I mean, I've been a podcaster since 2004. I know a crap ton of people in the industry. I own the Hunting Channel Online. We didn't talk about that in my bio, but had a TV show, written books, all that stuff. So very well connected. That sounded very douchebaggy of me, but
No.
I knew a lot of people, and he knows a lot of people. He's been doing this for a long time. He's got a great YouTube following, and so on and so forth. So we both have the public eye and connections. So he whipped up, and it was in the way that he wrote the change.org petition, which was brilliant. It was all about saving wildlife. So not only hunters that got involved in it, non-hunters and even anti-hunters actually at the time got involved in it and helped us push it forward. So in a matter of like 5 days, I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like 22,000, something like that. People signed on that petition, and something like $18,000 was donated. Now, when you donate using change.org, you're not really donating. Change.org is a for-profit, entity, and all you're doing is paying for it to get to higher levels, to see more people, to open the doors or the floodgates a little bit more, which is good. So like we needed that $18,000, but it didn't go to Charles or I. Just clarification on that. But in 5 days, Senator Wiener's like, "Oh my God, I got to back away from this." And the other part of what he did was he made the petition emails go directly to Senator Wiener and the people, the proponents of that bill, right? So when they backed away and they dropped it, they were like, "Whoa, there's way too many people that are." I thought I was going to be popular by putting this. That's how politics works. They want to be popular. They want their constituency to keep on keeping them in office, and the way they do that is by keeping people happy. So, if their constituency is saying no, we don't want this, then that's what they're going to do 9 times out of 10, unless they got some kind of political agenda, which happens. So that dropped. And then we tried it again on a bill in, I think it was Montana. I don't know why I can't remember this, but it was Montana, and I think it was on hounds, and we were able to win that. And I was like, well, man, there's something really powerful about this. We need to start a change.org basically for hunters and anglers. Like, this is what we need. We need something like this, where the money's going to go directly back into funding for this, and we're going to speak directly. It's going to be all about science-based wildlife management. So we went down this road. I actually went down a road of trying to build it. I kind of failed. And that's when COVID hit, and Charles kind of picked up the reins on that, and he built it into what it is today. Like he did put a lot of work and a lot of time and effort into getting it to run and operate the way it is. And that's all she wrote. The rest is history.
That's
pretty
cool.
Interesting.
That is awesome, man.
One thing Trying to figure out how to phrase this question here. Let me ask this. What would you say is your biggest, in your mind, your biggest achievement through starting this, and what would be your biggest downfall? Like one day you're like, damn it, I can't believe we lost it, or
well, if you're talking about a specific, and we call them actions. If you're talking about a specific action, probably the biggest win was last year, and I'm sure a few gentlemen heard about it or not. But there was Prop 127 in Colorado.
Oh, the mountain lions?
Yeah, and they were trying to get rid of mountain lions. So that was a state level issue. And Howl For Wildlife did what we do best, and we turned that state level issue into a national issue. So if you heard about it, chances are you heard about it because we did something. We had a hand in getting it to you.
Mm-hmm.
And we partnered with CRWM and Dan Gates, and Dan Gates is, super knowledgeable guy, very attached to the issue at hand, very charismatic guy. So it was really easy, and he's well-spoken, much more well-spoken than I am, and put him in front of a lot of people. And, we kind of acted like cheerleaders in a lot of ways, for that. We got that ball rolling, and we were able not only to win, but we won by almost 11 points, which is like unheard of, Conversely, a lot of people kind of try to compare it to the wolf reintroduction bill that happened there, the previous, and we weren't around. That was 4 years earlier to that. They lost that by less than 1%. And I feel like had we been around, that wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't be having a reintroduction of wolves in Colorado. Yeah. So from an action standpoint, I think that was I don't know if it was necessarily our biggest win, but I think it was our most notable. In the same year, let's put it this way, like Florida, we got a right to hunt and fish going on there. We partnered again with Travis Thompson, which was down there, and his organization, and so on and so forth. And we turned that into a national issue, and then we were able to push the needle on that. And that in itself was great, but it was kind of overshadowed by the fact that we had this thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
As far as losses are concerned, I don't know. I'm like a good quarterback, man.
You navigate it perfectly.
I forget the interception. I just throw and move on to the next one.
I love that. I love that answer.
I can't tell you what my biggest loss was. I think, it, from and I'm going to talk about this being like a company, from a company standpoint, even though we're a nonprofit, I guess I could say organization. I think one of our biggest failures is not speaking to the public enough in the way to get them to understand how we're all in this together, how everybody on this podcast and everybody listening in is all interconnected. I think that's one of the things that me personally, my personal mission's been doing that. And it's part of one of the hats that I kind of wear in Howl For Wildlife is I'm trying to connect all of us. We got, like you said, you got Sasquatch over here, and he's in New York, and what did you say? You're from St. Paul area?
No, we're in Michigan.
Yeah, Dave up front, top.
Okay.
And then John, the other John. Us three are from Michigan.
Yep.
Okay.
Watch the Yeti captain is from New York.
Got it. So my whole point is that bringing that up is like, and I've been trying to connect the dots for people. Like, why does a guy in New York give a crap about a guy in Arizona? Like a guy that hunts whitetail in New York, why does he care about a guy that hunts, I don't know, mountain lions in Arizona? Like, it's not his shtick. He doesn't do that. Like, he's probably never going to go to Arizona to hunt. And, it's like, you feel bad for him, but that's not what you do. So you don't get involved. And we see that so much. Like, there's so much, what's the word I'm looking for? Like apathy, I guess,
Yeah.
People don't really care so much. It's not that they don't care. They care. Like, you feel bad for me, right? You feel bad for me losing this in Arizona, but
right. It's not
should
directly
why should you-
correlated to your
Exactly.
setup personally. Like, damn, that sucks.
Right. Yeah. Sucks for you, dude. But, I got my own issues I got to get,
Right.
But the reality of it is, and, I'll do some connecting of the dots for you. It does ultimately affect you guys. Doesn't matter where you're from.
Exactly.
If you look at the big picture, we call the conservation table. Okay, there's seats at the conservation table. There's all the stakeholders, and hunting and fishing occupy the largest voice, not the largest group, but the largest voice at the conservation table.
Mhm.
And the reason why we're the largest voice is because we have a pay-to-play system. We think about public land hunting and hunting the way we have it as not being pay-to-play, but think about it. You buy a license, that license goes back into the system. You buy goods, it gets back through Pittman Robertson, sometimes depending on the goods, whatever. But it's all interconnected. So we facilitate a lot of the funding that comes in, or we create a lot of the funding that comes in for other people who don't pay to do things, like the mountain bikers. You could still go down a trail, and I'll use Colorado right now because that came to my head, but you could still go down a trail, mountain bike in Colorado without paying $1 because those funds came from hunting and fishing.
Same thing up here. Same thing up here in New York. We get it all the time. I always say, not to cut you off, I apologize.
Yeah, sure.
Like I just wanted to hit this on the head, because you got people that ride bicycles. They're on the roads. They're causing a hazard, but they're not insured. They don't have a license. Meanwhile, anything else that you put on the road needs a license, insurance, registration.
Sure.
And it's the same thing with people riding the rail trails, riding these, but why? Because they all stick together, they cry, and they get what they want. Whereas hunters, we need to step up and stick together and have that brotherhood and show up to these meetings and everything else like you were getting to.
Yeah. Well, and I gotta remember that point, because I gotta talk to you guys about that specifically. That's one of the things that we've done really well, and I would love to see go get even bigger. Yeah. But so we occupy this voice. So let's say I lose mountain lion hunting here in Arizona, right? Yep. Now the several thousand people that only mountain lion hunt here in Arizona no longer hunt, right? So you physically lost us at that table. So you lost my voice. You lost my funding. So again, the voice is diminished. And now let's say, I don't have a need for my rifle and my ammo anymore because I only use it for hunting. I don't target shoot. I don't, me and Paper are friends. We don't shoot at each other. And, so now Pittman Robertson goes down. Let's say in Pittman Robertson, and we give you arbitrary numbers, let's say it's $1 billion. And because you lost mountain lion hunting in Arizona, now it's, 900, million or whatever. And sorry, those numbers probably don't equate. But now, if you know how Pittman Robertson works, it's a big pie. If the pie was $1 billion and now that pie got shrunk to 900, now the piece of the pie that just got cut from Michigan and New York just got smaller.
Right.
So it directly affected you. It's a direct effect on you. Okay. And then, if that doesn't hit home, it sets precedents. Okay. Now I know mountain lion hunting in New York's not a big thing, although it might be happening pretty soon in Michigan. I know you guys got quite a few lions over there, but it's like eventually the things that you lose start ending up at your front door. And then, if you think about it too, they're always going for the low hanging fruit. Once the low hanging fruit's gone, they got to go to the next level. And then it becomes, the whitetail in Michigan, turkey, and whatever. So it directly affects you. We're all in this together, and people need to understand that.
Yeah, it's a door for one thing to go out for that. It just opens up for everything.
Sure.
Well, it's like the domino effect type deal.
Yeah.
Once one thing starts, like, just use a pie, for example. One thing falls away, and it just keeps chipping away more and more and more and more. And next thing you know, like everything's gone. All the rights are gone. Just everything's just. I mean, I don't know exactly the states, but I know. And I don't remember exactly what year it started, but I know, for instance, I don't believe in the fact that states can dictate what days of the week you can hunt.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is wrong, in my opinion. I understand one side of this. I understand both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Like, you can't hunt on Sundays because, for certain reasons, I don't know. But
those are old blue laws, they call them, or
in my opinion, though, it's
that were in place because of generally because of religion.
Yep.
More than anything. And there's not that many states that still have that. We actually just won like a year and a half ago. We won something. We got Sunday hunting in maybe Virginia. I don't remember exactly where it was, but we work on stuff like that all the time. If it pops up, if they think that they can win, we've added turkey season. Matter of fact, on Long Island, like, there's stuff.
You got turkey season eligible in Long Island?
Oh yeah. There wasn't the spring season. There was only fall turkey. Now there's spring season too.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, a shit ton of birds there. I was there last year.
Well, there's a lot. I know a lot of guys that hunt turkey down there.
A whole lot of ticks though. Yeah, but those gobblers don't shut up over there. That's a pretty good place to go hunting.
Yeah. What was the? I just had the question. Damn it. I had a question for you now, John, and I just fucking lost it. Damn it.
That's all right. I'm sorry. I kind of tend to ramble on and go off on tangents.
No, it was a good one too. Son of a bitch.
You had your one good one and you forgot it. Jesus.
I know. It was a really good one too. And I'm trying to remember it.
Yeah, if you mix green and red crayons, what color do you get?
Brett, I don't know, but they all made a brown turd.
Wait a minute.
I remember now. Shut the fuck up. I remember now.
Oh, here we go.
What? Damn it.
No, you didn't. You didn't remember.
What is a situation out there, like, for instance, the one out there in Colorado? Mm-hmm. Is there a situation out there that more hunters should be known, like, be more aware of, and that everyone should be kind of like, quote unquote, dipping their toes in or reading more about? Is there some type of situation out there, like, in general, that everyone should know about? Is there a situation out there where if this happens, it's going to lead to a bigger problem later down the road? It seems like you're going to have your feet more in it compared to what we do. I mean, I read articles through the United States Fish and Wildlife, but I'm only getting stuff like that. It seems like you kind of got your feet in a lot more.
I mean, we do, for sure. So, I mean, the first thing I'm going to tell everybody is this: listen, it's a moving target. It's constantly something else, and it's always something else. Like, to be honest with you, they try something, it doesn't work. They try for another thing, it doesn't work. They try this, it works. So we're constantly, and that's why we're always on the defense. There is right now a public lands deal that I think everybody should kind of be involved in. And, I think if it passes and it goes the wrong way, it's going to set a very bad precedence for things to go south continually, and it might really set a really ugly stage for a lot of the public land hunting to go away, period. There is, on May 6th, they introduced like 11:33 or something, like to midnight, something like that. I don't remember exactly. Some amendment to a reconciliation bill. And this is what they do. This is what politicians do. They'll try to sneak something in on these giant ass bills that nobody will pay attention to it, and hopefully it'll get it passed. But
like, they'll slip it in at the last second type.
Yeah, exactly. So
like, you're looking at this big thing, and
it's pretty like specific nefarious deal here, because it was something that was kind of leaked out back in, I think, January or February, something like that. And the proponents of the bill were all like, no, we're not going to do that.
Mhm.
And everything that they did, because the hunting community made a kind of a big stink about it. And then it went away, and it didn't look like it was going to be part of this deal or not. And then out of nowhere, boom, like I said, midnight, there it was. And there's a lot of moving parts to it, but the biggest things are that they're going to sell off, quote unquote, underutilized lands, public lands, 500,000 acres in Utah and Nevada. And, I'm not against selling off or transferring public lands if it makes sense. And there's a process. But the biggest thing about this amendment is that it forgoes the process. And it's illegal, to be honest with you. There's an act called FLIPMA, and I can't remember what that stands for exactly off the top of my head. I don't know. My brain's not working properly here this evening. But FLIPMA basically spells out how, if the government wanted to transfer public lands or sell off public lands, it spells out what needs to be done. And part of that process is public comment. So there is no public comment on this at all. You're selling off public lands. You're selling off the beneficiaries' lands without getting their input. So that's number one. Number two, normally in this process, so if I sell off this acreage, whatever money comes out of that acreage is supposed to go back, be an infusion back into public lands somehow, shape, or form, either to buy other lands or improve on the lands that we have. So this doesn't happen. That money that they're going to sell off this land goes directly into the general fund. So that in itself is it's bullshit, in my opinion. They're saying, I don't know exactly, but they're saying there's something like $18.5 billion that this money is going to, or this land is going to generate. But in my opinion, and I'm not a economist in any way, shape, or form, but just simple cowboy math, it doesn't really equate to me, because you're going to sell off this land and then you have no other way of making money off that land after it's sold. And $18.5 billion sounds like a lot of money, but really it's a drop in the bucket when it comes to the trillions and trillions of dollars that we're in debt, on a national level, right? So, but if you look at it from the long terms, there's, mineral royalties, there's the recreation, revenue that comes out of it. And just so this is an interesting number. I think it's almost $1 trillion a year that is connected to outdoor recreation on public lands in the United States. So I don't know, if you told me, even if I was only making, let's say, $1 billion off this land, this 500,000 acres, right? And it'd take me 18 years to make that, I would still rather have that in perpetuity than be one and done, and now I don't have it anymore.
Yeah.
The other really shitty part about it is that they're kind of selling it underneath the guise of having more affordable public housing. Listen, if you follow the money, if you look at developers and stuff that are kind of looking at this, there's not going to be any affordable housing. This is housing that's going to be on the outskirts of Las Vegas. those are going to be $1 million homes. Those aren't going to be
Mhm.
freaking affordable housing. You know, who's going to, there's no affordable housing in that. And like, I don't know. Again, like I'm not against selling. You got a tract of land, you got 300 acres that's sitting in the middle of a city. Yeah, go ahead, sell that shit off. It's not
Right.
suitable habitat to support wildlife. Doesn't have water on it, whatever. You know, those make sense to me. I'm not an anti-public land guy. I take showers. I'm not a, granola bar. I have ideas that we need, we need to sell off land at times, or we need to transfer land at times, and pick up other lands that make more sense. Yeah, I'm all about that. I'm also about drilling. I'm not against 100% against drilling. We're a nation that keeps on growing, and we need to come up with ways to support our insatiable consummation. The consumers here are just like, all we do is consume and consume and consume.
Mhm.
And I don't see that changing. So we have to come up with ways to utilize things, but we have to do it smart, and we have
Yeah.
to do it in a way that's going to preserve this way of life that we love, what we do, but also to propagate wildlife and keep ecosystems intact and so on and so forth. So, there's ways. And I think had the proponents of this bill gotten a more well-rounded input from, and then followed what they're supposed to do from the comments, public comment, if they would have gotten that, we probably could have found a win-win for everybody.
Right.
But right now, as it stands, it doesn't equate, and it's like a borrowing for Peter to pay Paul situation economically, and I think it's going to take away too much. But the biggest thing, the biggest fear for me, is that if they get away with what they're doing, they're going to keep on doing that. Because there's people that just don't care about public lands or recreating out there that will easily sell that off to have their condo on the water. You know what I'm saying? So
But it just seems like more and more, though, like little pieces of land are being like kind of chipped away
oh yeah.
here and here, and it's just
Well, they did it here with those solar panels.
Mhm.
yeah. And I'm not saying like John was saying, like I'm okay with like the middle of downtown and there's 20
Yeah.
acres of just an open lot
Sure.
being sold away, and let's use
Yeah.
it for good reasons, but to
Yeah, they what they do up in Gaylord? Is it Gaylord where they did that?
I think
It's, uh,
It was like 2,000 acres of public hunting land. They turned it. They sold it and turned it into solar panel farm.
I know it's up in that region. Yes.
Yeah,
I did hear about that. Speaking about like renewables, that's like renewable energy and stuff like that. Again, not something that I'm against, but I'm not about cutting off my nose to spite my face either. I feel like those things, if you're going to put solar panels, put them on top of rooftops, on top of buildings inside a city already. Like,
Mhm.
why are we taking away public land to have a solar farm when you can have a, equally good, if not better,
Mhm.
system on top of what's already, developed?
And they're not even sustainable. They degrade
No.
after 5 years, anyways.
Yeah.
After 10 years, you have to replace them.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of like how long they last and so on and so forth, but I know once they are done, they have a very hard time getting rid of them, and that's like
Yep.
the panel's poisonous. And I know
Yep.
like lithium and all these
It's got all these toxic metals in it.
yeah, all the
Yep.
EV cars and all this stuff like that. It's not the answer. It's like
Well, I know here in Michigan, not how true this is. It was just commercials that I was seeing. If you had so and so, that they would come and put solar panels on your house for free.
yeah.
And I think I'm all about trying to live off the land as best you can, and that's why as hunters, that's why we hunt, that's why we fish. We want to live off the land and stuff like that.
Sure.
But we already have these structures in place where it's like, and like you said, what's the fucking point of taking all this land, build this giant farm to be more green, if you want to use that term,
Right.
use what's already in place and stop chipping away. I think when people look at hunting and they look at fishing and they look at the outdoors, they don't see the environmental impact that it has on everyone. I have what I'm in my mind. I have one thing, and I'm trying to verbate it through words right now. But in my mind, most people, they just see it and they just don't give a shit. They just look at it and they see dollar signs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of that, but I think our biggest problem is, so, and this is actually a good segue for me to talk about this. There's 5% people that hunt, and there's 5% people who are anti-hunting, quote unquote, and there's 90% in the middle. So that 90% in the middle is the biggest power, voting power, right? They hold most of the cards. So there's, for as longer than all of us have been alive, they've been, and I say the anti-hunters have propagated their messaging. They've infiltrated, the Bambis and that's where that anthropomorphized stuff comes, like, from Disney and so on and so forth, where they create a picture that is not necessarily represented in the hunting community. They paint us as this like toothless hillbilly, willy-nilly out there shooting shit, lopping off heads, drinking beers and just running around shooting shit out of the back of pickup trucks. That we're this evil, bloodthirsty, guy out there that has no love for wildlife and what we do. So I think it's super important for us to actually start portraying the good side about hunting, what actually hunting and fishing means. Like, I don't mean just the what do you call it, the financial side of it. Like, we can't hang our hat on. We can't just go up to everybody and say like, well, you do this because we pay for this. You can't stop a mountain biker and say, you have access to this because of us. It doesn't resonate. But if you show them the camaraderie, you show them the meals that you make, the family, the human connection, the human intrinsic values that are associated with what we do, and how it helps wildlife and how we propagate ecosystems and so on and so forth. Now they start thinking about, okay, well, what I saw the other day about a hunter going out there and lopping off a head and just taking the trophy with them. That's my air quotes. That starts fading. That starts going away, and they start looking behind the curtain. You know how things are today, especially today's day and age. When we have vines that are 7 seconds. Like, if something that doesn't catch our attention in the first couple of seconds, and how do you do that in the hunting world? Like, how do you talk about conservation? How do you talk about human intrinsic value? How do you talk about camaraderie, meals, and all that stuff in a quick format that catches somebody's interest? You don't. But if you put up a meme with some guy with a grip and grin and say this guy killed Bambi, it's gonna catch like wildfire. So we need to have a little bit more nuance. We need to be better ourselves and educate ourselves. Like, I'm not a super educated person. I mean, I definitely don't have a PhD.
Well, it's
I know
kind of
that's
like,
dangerous, but you got to spend some time and educate yourself on these things so you can have conversations with people. Sorry, go ahead, Brett.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry. There's a glitch. It's kind of like, so I have the right to say it because I worked in law enforcement, unlike these two shitheads. They
What?
worked in the Army. No.
Hey, you're welcome for your freedom, Brett.
Yeah, fucking
Well,
cop.
I protected
Yeah,
you.
fucking John
I
got shot
protected
in
you
the
while
neck.
you slept.
Damn it.
Yeah, John got shot in the neck. I don't know what I got to say.
I
Anyway,
slipped on a donut.
That's right.
no,
You choked on a
law
donut.
enforcement. Let me say my point. Stop
get on
interrupting
with
me.
it.
You guys are fired.
Oh,
No, so in law enforcement, you always see it on the news, and one bad thing, and it gets blown everywhere out of proportion.
Sure.
It's you see this one little thing, and it paints cops as a bad picture. Whether I'm not going to get into details of anything about an actual video, but you see one bad little thing, and you paint all cops bad. And it's like you just saw one little glimpse of one little action, and you didn't see like the bigger picture or anything else behind it.
Right.
You see people out there taking
Bless you.
Thank you.
bad photos with deer, or they're chopping heads off of deers. And for instance, for me, the one thing I hated the most was seeing the memes out there where people were, I think it was like 3 years ago, where people were on the ground with their deer and they're taking selfies.
Mhm.
And there's videos out there where they're taking their deer to, oh, look where we first met and stuff like that. People see that, and you're painting a bad picture, like you said,
Right.
John. And that, in my opinion, I hate, I don't want to use the word hate, but I strongly dislike that. I don't believe in
We
that.
are definitely our own worst enemy.
Exactly.
We
And
create the majority of the content. And
Right.
now, mind you, a lot of it's taken out of context, but we create a lot of
Yeah,
the
it is.
content that is used by the other side as a weapon towards what we do. That's why there's a lot of people like, oh, don't take any more pictures of grip and grins. Don't do any of this. Don't do any. I'm not of that camp.
Mhm.
You know, in my opinion, we've been painted on caves about our hunting success since millennia, right?
Mhm.
yeah.
And I think the Instagrams and so on and so forth are our caves. Before that, when we were kids, you know, in the 80s, we used to take the deer into the city center or the town center, the coffee shop, whatever. The deer would be laying across the hood of the car, or whatever. You know, we shared our stories, and we talked to people, and we were proud that we were able to take this. You know, so I think that stuff needs to stay intact. We just need to be mindful that there's always somebody watching. I get it. I don't know if you heard about this last year. There was a guy in Craig, Wyoming, that ran over a wolf with his snowmobile, and then
Oh, shit.
took the injured wolf, taped its mouth shut, took it and paraded it around the local bar, took pictures with it, kissing it on the mouth and doing all kinds of rotten shit that nobody else, the vast majority of hunters would find it repulsive.
Yeah.
Did all this stuff. Of course, he put it on social media. Now this dum-dum became the poster child for every anti-hunting. See, this is what we have to save. We have to save wildlife from the guys like this. This is why we're doing what we're doing, because the hunters are like this guy. So everybody out there, whether you hunt deer with a trad bow or, you know, have the utmost respect, do whatever, you know, whatever. Think about the most respectful possible way you can hunt. Whether you're that guy or not, you're still going to be associated with this clown and Craig that did this thing. And, you know, so my point is there's always somebody watching, and we're the idiots that keep putting stuff up there. So if you're going to put something up there, if you're going to put something out in social media and in the interwebs, you're gonna have to think about what it is that you're doing, and you want to be able to share with your following, share with the people that will see that. Because first it's going to start off in your social networks, right? And then eventually it keeps going and it'll get out there. You want to be able to share, okay, yes, oh, I shot this beautiful deer, right? And then the next picture you put up, this is a meal that I made. This is me enjoying being out there with my son. This is, and tell the stories. It's not going to stop people from taking things out of context, because you're never going to be able to do that, especially now with AI. They can, unfortunately, going to be able to do a lot more shit than not.
Right.
Really, I'm fearful for my son and my daughters and that generation, what AI is going to do. Hopefully I'll be long gone before Terminator actually comes on. But your best, if you're going to put stuff up, your best option is to always put the story in the comments, share the human intrinsic values that you have. Try to take quality pictures that are tasteful. It can't always be this just grip and grid, blood hanging out of the mouth, tongue, this, that, be a little bit more mindful. I'm not saying don't do it, but be more mindful about how you do it. Because I had a TV show, podcast, magazines, pictures, and being in that life and promoting hunting has been my life since, like I said, 2001 has been promoting hunting. And how do you promote hunting? By promoting things about hunting to hunters. And you have this view that only hunters are going to see what you're putting up there. But the reality of it is that is not true. And then the other side of it is, if you see somebody putting up something distasteful, don't comment, don't go at them publicly, send them a DM. Hey man, I think you should think about what you just put up there. You're hurting hunting. You're not helping it by doing this, and yada yada yada. She's going to either tell you to go F yourself, or they're going to listen and they're going to take it down. I've told this story several times. I had a guy several years ago that he was wearing all camouflage. He was on a quad, and he runs this hog over. The hog gets up and charges him, runs it over again. Just goes back and forth 3-4 times where the hog gets up after he runs it over. And I sent him a message, and he basically told me to F off, fuck off, excuse my French. But the thing that propelled it, I looked through the original, first 100 comments were from hunters that were like, you're a moron. Why are you doing this? But because that's the way the algorithms work, you put comments up there, even though they were negative and you were not condemning this person for doing stupid stuff, it kept pushing that content further and further along. And the further and further along it went, then it started opening it up to the anti-hunters and people that were non-hunting, and they would see this thing, and now they got this visual. They're not reading the comments. They're not reading the caption. They're not reading, and they're just looking at the video and commenting themselves on it. Now it just and that's how it goes viral. And so, that's why it's important. You got to think, there's always somebody watching. There's always somebody looking. Do something.
I agree with you 100%. And I just did a video of a really nice turkey hunt with Broadside Ambush Frank. And it happened so quick. We got a lot of footage of the calling, the birds coming in and going away and this and that. But I wasn't going to I was thinking maybe I shouldn't publish it because I didn't get the actual kill shot on. I turned the camera on and the bird's just flopping around on its last nerves after I hit it with the mag. And I said, no, I'm going to make this video because it's not about killing the bird. It's not about, making a good shot. It's the time I spent with a brother out hunting and just watch that video. It's really cool because I did it with an Insta360 camera. It's the first time I really made a video with it. So parts of it are a little sketchy and rough here and there when I tried to edit a lot of it out. But what I learned in the editing program was I have a cameraman inside of that editor, so I can actually pan to us in the blind right after I made the shot. And you see our reaction, just like there was a cameraman just said, "Oh, let me get these guys on film."
Oh,
And I mean, I'm literally like pumped, shaking, like just, we're hugging each other and, hey, man, I love you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to come up here. If that doesn't set the precedent of being a respectful, loving, caring person as a hunter, there's something wrong with people out there. And you're not going to have people that agree with this 100%, but I could give a crap less. I am so happy. I was so proud of that moment, getting to share that with people and putting that moment out there, because there's guys out there that never hunt with anybody. They don't know what it's like to experience the harvesting of that animal. And it's, I didn't run out in a blind and go like jump on it like these morons do, half of them. I mean, the bird was expired right away. I made a great shot on him. We walk over to it, I explain the situation, and I thank God. Every time I kill something or I get the opportunity to be out in the woods, I put God first. And if that doesn't set a precedent to people out there, how respectful. I give deer last rates. I got American Indian blood in me. You'll never see anybody do what I do out there, okay? I have the most respect for animals. When I was a kid, it was different. I was a killer. But as I got older, it was more about the time spent, how you're doing it, and enjoying the fruits of your benefits of what you got. And let me tell you something. You talk about cook your meal. I'm on there. We got a good bunch of people that represent us, and Flavors of the Forest is one of them. And I try to use his products and everything I cook with my wild game, and I put that out there for people to see that, yes, I am enjoying the bounty of what I killed. And I shared it with my brother, and we had a great time. And you know what? People need to experience that, especially in the hunting community. If they don't, they're shortchanging themselves.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's awesome. Like, and you got to have that perspective. Like I said, everybody's always watching, and unfortunately, there is a large sector of the hunting community that's going to find your video not as cool because it doesn't have a kill shot in it.
Right.
And I personally have tried to get away from the kill shot thing. I think the last several years I haven't. It happens, but you don't actually. And I think that's something we need to do, because there's people you want to. You're not catering. See, a lot of people in the hunting industry are like, "Oh, you're placating to the snowflakes," rah, rah, rah. But no, what you're doing is you're talking to that middle ground. You're saying, this is what hunting is. And I would like you to try it at some point, not because I want to convert you into a hunter. And I'm not saying we need more hunters in the world, but I want you to have an understanding of what I do and how I do it. I want you to know what goes into it. I want you to know that when I go bow hunting for elk, that I am hiking 7-8 miles a day. I am covering, several thousand feet in elevation. I am busting my butt. I want you to know that there's only a 9% success rate. I want you to know the months of time and practice I put into it, and the days in the gym and this and so on and so forth. And the only way you can do that is to put that information out there and put it in a way that's digestible by these people, that you can understand it. If you're just out there like, I just whack this thing and I just use this as the best thing since I've bred and blah, 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 you're never going to connect with that middle ground. And we're always going to be just talking, preaching to the choir, talking to ourselves. And, hey, we all know that death is going to happen, right? We all know that that's a part of hunting. We don't have to celebrate the death. The death is a small second in the whole culmination of the hunt. What you need to do is share everything else that happened leading up to that death and everything else that happens after that death, because those are all the things that really matter. I mean, 8 out of 10 hunters you speak to are going to tell you that they're more about the experience of the hunt than the actual kill. Now, for fear of sounding like a D-bag again, I'm a pretty successful hunter. I've had my fair share of animals,
Yeah.
But even I will tell you, like, I'm an adventure hunter. I'm all about the adventure of it. I'm about the experience of it. I'm about, what goes into it, the whole kit and caboodle. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I told you I wouldn't want to kill something and take something home. I want, everybody wants a big set of antlers on the wall, like in our space, right? Yeah. But that's not the reason. That's not my motivation for doing it. I don't wake up going, "Oh my God, I gotta get this. I gotta get these 200." Like that's not my motivation. So,
motivation to enjoy being outdoors and being with friends and family. I gotta say this here. Okay, Michael. All right. So we've been fucking with you, dude. We're getting ready to wrap the show up, and we made a deal. We were gonna ignore you the entire fucking show because I feel bad now because he's texted me like 10 times and sent me screenshots of all the comments that he's made on this show.
It's that new format, Brett. That new format. Mike must have not got that new format. That was called ignoring you, Mike.
Yeah. It's called ignore. Ignore. No, I'll go through some of your comments. I've been starring in the Michael just for you. Just real quick before wrapping up. He said my birthday is Thursday, so happy pre-birthday, Michael. Excited for you.
Well, what are you gonna be, 8, 9?
I think he might be 9. He likes
9.
I like hunting, fishing stuff, and a bunch of other stuff. I like tools.
Well, that's because he is a tool.
Yeah, he is kind of a tool bag for shit. He did ask this question. Johnny Squatch Dave, didn't Brett say he would give me a Whitetail Advantage merch for my birthday? I don't know.
No, he never did.
I don't think he did.
No, I never remember him saying that. No.
I don't know, Mike, but I think you should give him that or something, man.
I might, but he's running the limit of how many questions he runs a show, and he's pushing that limit.
Well, I mean,
I got some pocket lint for Mike. I'll send that out to him.
We're your co-hosts, and we don't even have anything. We had to buy our own shit.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Brett.
Yeah.
I'm broke. We're in the corner.
I mean, Johnny even sent me some lip chapstick stuff, and then the stuff for
lip balm,
the tallow stuff for my wife. He sent me.
Yeah. Well, John, that's an amazing product. Don't make me buy some then, Johnny.
I'll send your wife some. Don't worry, Brett.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Michael, we love you. Yes. I guess we'll do something for your birthday, Michael. I guess.
Let's put his phone number in the chat group.
Yeah.
We'll post it on the bottom for an episode.
We'll do our call-in sign. We'll do our call-in show, and it's his phone number.
That's right.
He's like, "Why is my phone blowing?"
That's funny.
That
would be awesome to do.
John, not our regular host, John, our guest, John. I want to say thank you so much, man, for coming on the show and
absolutely
your experience and everything about Howl For Wildlife. Thank you for everything you're doing with it. I do want to say that. I do want to try and get more involved with this. We have our things that we're trying to do here at Whitetail Advantage in our own type of format with this in our own way here with Michigan as well, but more trying to bring these type of situations more to light that need to be discussed more. But I do want to say thank you so much for coming on the show and taking the time out of your day. I know you're a busy guy. You got your hands in a lot of lot of bowls out there, and you're doing a lot. So I'm very happy for that. For people that want to reach out to you, we'll end with you, John. John, how can people reach out to you and follow along your journey?
You don't want to.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Squatch, how about you?
I'll run my usual spiel. So, as you guys know, Sundays and Tuesday nights here at 8 o'clock, Whitetail Advantage. You can also catch me on the Boondocks Outdoors, Garden State Outdoorsman, Mike Nitre, Frank Mastica, great bunch of dudes out there. Check my channel out, Outdoors and More with the Squatch on YouTube. Also, same header under Instagram. Appreciate all your guys' support. As usual, guys, thanks for tuning in.
See, I can't do a long intro, but he can go on about
Yeah,
his.
I know. What the hell?
What the fuck?
It wasn't on and on. It was on. It was right to the point, sir.
I'll start muting them, man. Don't worry.
Oh, Jesus.
John Stallone, how can people reach out to you, following along your journey and learn more and try and get more involved with Howl for Wildlife?
Yeah, definitely become a member. We've created a free membership even for those people that want to test the waters out a little bit before they invest. But this is not a cheap endeavor. There's really essentially there's only 5 of us, and we're all volunteers. We don't take a dollar from Howl for Wildlife. In fact, I've invested tens of thousands of my own money, and Charles is even more than that, and time and effort. We all put a bunch of time and effort into this. It takes a lot of money to get things done. So we'd love you to become, a paid member. But if not, the main thing is we want you to be involved, and you can't be involved if you're not signed up to find out what's going on. So at least get on there, become a free member, howlforwildlife.org. And right now that public lands action, if you go to take action on our website, it's the first action up there. And what we're doing with that is giving you a platform to record a 60-second video testimony that will go out to all your representatives and President Trump, and it will say whatever you want to say. Hey, I'm, oh, here you go. Cool.
Oh, nice.
Basically, I'm against, there you go, keep it public. You click on that right there, and you'll be able to leave your public comment, and that video will go directly to the people that need to hear this. And that's what we specialize in. Your voice gets put out to the decision makers of the policy that's in question. So yeah, get on there. If you want to follow me, just John Stallone, on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, or if you wanted to follow Howl for Wildlife, that's where we connect with everybody, is mostly on Instagram, and that's howl_org. Yeah, we'd love to you guys get involved. The more and more people, and this is, I'm going to give you a quick, 30,000-foot view of how I look at this. Mm-hmm. Howl for Wildlife, we have won the vast majority of stuff that we've gotten involved in, and we've won that with thousands of people. There's like 16 million hunters in the United States. Could you imagine if 5 million, 10 million of those hunters were involved like we need them to be involved at Howl for Wildlife? If they got their voices out there, we would be undeniable. We would not lose things. We'd be able to start working on more of the things to get things back, or include new things like, the turkey hunting in Long Island and so on and so forth. Like, that's why we need to be a voice. We need to be on everything. We need to be engaged and dialed in. And the way you do that, it literally doesn't take much at all. It takes about, I would say on a yearly basis, probably takes about 15 minutes of your time.
Yeah.
It doesn't. We're not asking for a lot. 15 minutes of your time. Okay. And don't give me I'm super busy BS, because, I didn't really get into it with you guys, but I really don't know very many people more busy than me. Okay. I run a construction company, Howl For Wildlife. I have a guide service. I have 3 kids, a wife. I got my hand on so many different things between, promoting social media, all these things. And I still find time to do what I do. And I'm not saying this to give myself a pat on the back. I'm saying this, don't make excuses, because what happens is people start, crying about things online and typing things and saying all these things like, that time that you spent doing that BS, you could have put into something productive. And it could have been, you could have did more for hunting and fishing than you ever did in 2 minutes worth of time. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure I alienated a bunch of people on that one, but hey, I'm not pulling punches anymore. I think we all have the potential to do great things. I think we all have the potential to protect and save what it is that we love. You just got to do it.
Stop talking about it and just do the action.
Exactly.
Basically. Well, Squatch and John, our John, and our guest John Stallone, thank you guys so much for coming on tonight's show. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I just want to say thank you guys so much for coming on tonight's show. And I'm gonna actually do an outro just because it's our last show for like a week. So I'm gonna just say something, okay?
Oh God, here we go.
It won't be long, I swear, but I'll let you guys go for the rest of your night. Enjoy your night. Enjoy your quote unquote vacation that you guys have. I will talk to you guys all later. John, I hope you have a great rest of your night. Enjoy time with your family. I will text and call you tomorrow because I'm looking forward to actually talking to you more in depth about this. And I will let you guys go. You're free. Your vacation trip now is approved.
All right. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
Have a good one, guys.
Thank you, guys. Good night.
Oh, man. Thank you, Squatch and Johnny, for coming on for tonight's show. I know it's our last show before we go on to vacation. And our guest, John, thank you for coming on for tonight. Greatly appreciate it. Just a couple last thing, though, reminders. We aren't doing a live show next week, Sunday or Tuesday, because it is Memorial Day weekend. So we're enjoying our time with our friends and family. If the show made you laugh, made you think, give you a new perspective, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you listen to this on the audio version, please hit that 5-star rating. Audio versions of our podcast gets released every Monday and Wednesday at 5 a.m. Eastern time. With that being said, put your cord in the slot machine. What the fuck are you doing back here?
Oh, well, I just want to say bye.
Yeah, you're muted.
Oh,
okay.
I just wanted to say bye.
Okay. Bye, John. Have a great rest of your time, guys. We'll see you.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Whitetail Advantage Podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.